Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me again Friday evening. Hope you've all got a good weekend ahead. Not sure what I'm up to yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, there's a couple of things that I noticed online today that I wanted to bring to your attention and to discuss a little bit about as well. One of them is in the area of reform, Nigel Farage, and the other is in Ben Habib and some of the comments that he's made. Now, let's start with Nigel Farage. As many of you know, I'm a big critic at the moment of Nigel Farage. This is something that I've ended up with a lot of stick for, an awful lot of stick. And when I read some of the comments, I get why people feel the way they do, because at the end of the day, people are desperate for a change. People are very desperate for a change, to the point they're either going to go with the best of a bad option, or they're just going to go with reform because it's something different, or, you know, what are we supposed to do with this situation? Let's face it, Starmer, at the end of the day, has made such a hash of this country of ours. I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet, to be quite honest with you all. And I'm sure many of you can agree. Now, Nigel Farage the other day did a press conference in Dover, where he apparently had a big announcement to make, and discussed several things, took several questions, and one of the things that came out was he appeared to pivot his stance on the situation with migration in this country, basically to the point that anybody that's here illegally will be deported. Now, that is correct. I want to see anybody that's here illegally deported. I want to see anybody that's come here to claim this is their home and they commit a crime. I want to see them gone. End of. No discussion. Bye-bye. When you come here, when you live here, particularly England, where I am, you have to abide by certain laws. You have to abide by certain obligations. And if you can't do those, it's time to leave. And the problem is with successive governments, they are so, cowardly, I suppose, is the answer to this. They won't do anything that's necessary. When Nigel Farage ended that broadcast, he came into a lot of criticism, and by me as well. And, all right, I've got it in my head, and for very good reason. Now, what I think should happen on the 1st of May, I think people, if they can find it in their heart, they should vote reform. I'm going to go on camera now and say that I'm going to vote reform at the local council elections. My local polling station is literally a stone's throw from my front door. So really, there is no excuse. Now, the reason I'm going to vote reform is not for any love of Nigel Farage. It's not for any, hope that reform is what it says on the tin. I'm going to vote reform because they are the ones with the most momentum right now for the council elections. And Keir Starmer is very well overdue a lesson being taught politically. He needs to understand, his actions, his broken promises. And let's not forget that video that I brought out about what's happening on the 19th of May are going to catch up with him. And the British people have had enough. The English people have had enough. So, after that conference, after that press conference, briefing, whatever you want to call it, this appeared online. Reform UK will introduce a minister for deportations, 24th of April, well, yesterday. And you can see in that course of time, it's got 1 million views. So something that's very, very important to a lot of people. Now, for the longest time, or it feels like the longest time, Nigel Farage seems to have pivoted away from the idea of mass deportations. There are numerous examples of videos online all over the place where he's softened his stance. And now we have this. Now, is this because he's listened? Is this because politically he's seen that people are making noise? Don't forget there are other parties, there are other smaller parties and alternative media sources that are calling this out all the time. And, you know, he needs to realize, and it's like any politician, when you say and infer you're going to do something, that's exactly what we expect. Well, I had to laugh, and this shows what zero appetite the establishment, both Conservatives and Labour, have for this subject. A reply was put to Nigel's tweet, and it was this from Ben Habib, MP. What would a minister for deportations do that border security minister doesn't already have responsibility for, Nigel? Now, people come out with call on the Navy, call on the armed forces to deal with our channel, deal with the problem. Now, under the Army Act, which is, you know, kind of evolved from the English Militias Act, from the English Constitution, it states in there that border security is not the responsibility of the armed forces unless it's in the circumstances of a potential invasion or wartime or anything like that. It's down to civilian agencies like Border Force. That is their get out of jail card every single time. Now, if you look at the Militias Act from the English Constitution, that grants, with permission, the general public to do certain things in defense of their shires, their counties, and everything else. But if you transpose that onto the modern day Army Act, where, you know, the Militias Act has been put to one side, we have an issue because it no longer says that. So it's down to the armed forces, it's down to the civilian agencies. But back to this screen dump here. What would a minister for deportations do that border security minister doesn't already have responsibility for? The minister's responsibilities are Border Security Command, asylum policy. I mean, Border Security Command is a new term that's been put up there by the government. Asylum policy, asylum accommodation. I mean, how much are those two costing every day? Returns and removals, irregular migration policy. It's not irregular, it's illegal. I'll refuse to call it irregular. Organised immigration crime, foreign national offenders, immigration enforcement, small boat arrivals. What you're actually doing there is making a statement about all the things that are going on. They're not responsibilities, they're things that are going on. And there's a very, very poignant word that's missing off of that list of responsibilities or things that's going on. Can anyone guess what it is? Right, deport. It's not there. So if we go back to Nigel's tweet there, a minister for deportations, deportations, that's exactly what will happen. So this minister who's tried to get one up on Nigel has basically admitted that they're not doing it. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot, as the saying goes. Now, at the end of the day, we have that massive problem where we have loads and loads of people coming into this country. We don't know who they are, what they're doing when they get here, where they came from. But one thing is clear, there's a lot of them need removing, and removing rapidly. Now, I brought to you Rupert Lowe and what he had to say about it. And, you know, I agree with everything he said, but it's going to take years, absolute years, to pull that off. Now, I want to come on to the segment about Ben Habib. Before I do, one of the things that we have to realise is that ever since 1706 and 1707, with the formation of the United Kingdom, which at the end of the day is nothing more than a political union, do you realise we could survive as independent nations, as a brotherhood, as a cooperative, get on, share defensively, share trade, industry, everything else? It's more than possible. and this United Kingdom, this Great Britain that we've seen, and moreover, all the legislation, all the statute and everything else that's been thrown into the mix has caused an awful lot of problems. And as I've mentioned before, any poorly run business which is based on a system of panic management will not survive, because you get poor decision after poor decision after poor decision, and you reach a crescendo and something has to be done before things fall apart. A lot of these ministers in Westminster, probably with the exception of a handful, have never had a proper job. What I mean by a proper job is being out in the real world where they see from a working class point of view what's going on, how real life works. I mean, I can think of probably 3 straight off the top of my head. They come out of mummy and daddy's. They go straight to university, inevitably Oxford or Cambridge or something like that, get a degree, get a master's maybe. Then they'll go to Parliament and be somebody's ward or clerk or understudy, and they'll be in that system. And then all of a sudden, oh, I could be an MP. They get parachuted into a seat, and there we go. And then they make a series of shit decisions and poor laws based on no life experience whatsoever and no idea of how it affects everybody. At the end of the day, under, Constitution, the English Constitution, we have rights that aren't being recognised. And all of this, including the background to this live stream, is being swept under the carpet. Now, Ben Habib, let's move on to him. He came out with an interview that he did, and I'm indebted to, I think it's Basil, the handle on Twitter, that broke it down into its different parts, different subjects. And one of those was about all of the bits and pieces that have been made law and messed us about in this country. Now, have a listen to this.
And, at the heart of all of this, I think, is stuff like the Human Rights Act, the Equalities Act, the Online Harms Bill, which the Conservative Party brought in, obviously getting rid of non-crime hate incidents, and so on and so forth. What we've got to do, and what any incoming so-called, I'm not going to call it right-wing, I'm going to say pro-British party gaining government, one of the first things it's got to do is just burn the every bit of legislation pretty much that's been put in place over the last 30 years. Just burn it. Get rid of it. Dismiss all the quangos, unpick all the international treaties, and burn the legislation. And if that's your only thing that you put in your manifesto, actually you'll probably be on to a pretty good thing.
Get rid of everything. Burn all these excessive regulations, unpick international treaties, just do away with it all. And if it's the only thing you put in your legislation, you're actually onto a good thing. Now, Ben Habib, bless him, along with others, are very obsessed with this idea of Great Britain, Great Britain, Great Britain, United Kingdom, United Kingdom, United Kingdom. Yeah, we're all united on this lump of land called Great Britain, but we have our own national identities which seem to be lost in the mire. The Integrity Party, which Ben Habib has taken over, they have a very interesting logo right now, and I'm going to try and find it on here. I spoke to the person online, the temporary leader of the Integrity Party, about the rationale behind that logo. And he said to me that it's probably at some stage going to get redesigned. But, zoom it in, there it is. It's interesting. You've got the Union flag at the top and the cross of St. George underneath on a big plinth. And I found that very interesting. And I said to him, what does that represent? What's your rationale? And I think the idea is, and this could be in the redesign, that all of those nations are under the banner of the United Kingdom. But when you look at all of the regulations, all of the laws, all of the statutes, you go on government websites, it will say the United Kingdom something act a lot of the time, or the something act in the United Kingdom. Similarly, all of these international treaties, for example, our membership of the European Union, as it was, the signing up of us to the common market in the early 1970s, as it was, it's all with the United Kingdom. All of it. Not England, not Wales, not Scotland, the United Kingdom. Now, to unpick everything would take years. I'll probably be dead. It would take countless legal battles, countless pounds. And not only that, somebody with the political will to make it all happen. Now, I want to play this again. Listen to Ben Habib's words again and have a think about what he's actually saying.
And, at the heart of all of this, I think, is stuff like the Human Rights Act, the Equalities Act, the Online Harms Bill, which the Conservative Party brought in, obviously getting rid of non-crime hate incidents, and so on and so forth. What we've got to do, and what any incoming so-called, I'm not going to call it right-wing, I'm going to say pro-British party gaining government. One of the first things it's got to do is just burn the every bit of legislation pretty much that's been put in place over the last 30 years. Just burn it. Get rid of it. Dismiss all the quangos, unpick all the international treaties, and burn the legislation. And if that's your only thing that you put in your manifesto, actually you'll probably be on to a pretty good thing.
The end of that is very interesting. Very interesting. Now, as I said in my comments before, it would take years. And remember what I said, all of these agreements, all of these legislation and everything else is all the United Kingdom. Acts of Union, 1706, 1707. Formed the United Kingdom, created the United Kingdom. I'll again pull out my phone. I want to run something else by you. I should have done this beforehand. My apologies. I want to read something which I think is very relevant. I want to thank everybody, by the way, for following me on Twitter. My following has grown quite significantly. I'm on over 5,000 subscribers now, or 5,000 followers as it is on there. And also I've got a little Rumble channel on the go as well. So I'd appreciate a few more there. This here is Article 1 of the Acts of Union. And I'll read this to you. That the two kingdoms of England and Scotland shall, upon the first day of May, which shall be in the year 1707, so 1707, and forever after be united into one kingdom by the name of Great Britain, and that the ensign's memorial of the said United Kingdom be such as Her Majesty shall appoint, and the crosses of St. George and St. Andrew be conjoined in such manner as Her Majesty shall think fit and use in all flags, banners, standards, and ensigns, both at sea and at land. Article 1, Acts of Union. One set of acts which 300 years of other acts are attached to. Usually when you have a house of cards or a pile of plates or a brick wall, you take out the bottom brick, everything else falls down to be rebuilt in another image. Yes, there would be temporary problems with trade. There would be temporary problems with cross-border access to different bits and pieces, renegotiation of certain things. But by far the quickest way of achieving the goal that Ben Habib said at the end of his video there would be exactly that. A lot of you are going to disagree with me. A lot of you are probably scratching the screen trying to get in my head right now or bang some sense into me. But how else can it be done? You let me know in the comments. I appreciate your views. Let me know what you think. I'll stick a copy of this on Rumble as well. The more traction, the better. So please follow me over there if you haven't done so already. As always, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all of your support. I think we're getting near 142,000 subscribers. Hit the like button. Have a look at these videos that just popped up. And as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.